Hi everyone, welcome back to the Lightworkers. Today we have Rachel with us, and we're so honored to have her. And she will be sharing her healing journey and give us, her nuggets and share her nuggets with us. So, hi Rachel, how are you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me on. It's so good to meet you.
So, why don't you introduce yourself, Rachel, to everyone, the kind of work you do, and also how you got into the healing journey?
Sure. So I'm Rachel. I go by Story Spirit Aura. I am a medium, a psychic tarot reader, Reiki master, and intuitive coach. I work a lot with my spirit team and my client spirit team. So we all have our own team of angels and guides and ascended masters or even past loved ones who help us on our journey. And so I like to work with them and help share messages from them that help my clients on their paths and on their journey.
Beautiful.
Um, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, no, no. I was just gonna
Oh,
ask you more about how you got into like were you always aware of them, or was there a moment in your life that drove you towards working with your guides and all of that? Yeah.
yeah. So, whenever I was little, I was sensitive. I, but my channels, they weren't completely open. I still was very intuitive, so I could tell when people were lying, or I could sense when something would be going on with someone. But really, it wasn't until I started meditating, whenever I was in 2017, I started meditating, and that's when my channels really started opening up and I started like seeing visions and I didn't know what they were or what they meant. And I finally found out, like, oh my God, like this is like spirit talking to me, right? So I
Yeah.
really wanted to learn how to hone that gift. And I started working with different mentors to help develop that.
Wow, beautiful. What you were gonna say something earlier? Did I cut you off?
Um, I don't remember.
It's fine. So you said that you're also an intuitive coach. So what exact? So do you channel information from guides for people, and how else do you coach people?
Yes. So I channel information from guides. And then right now I'm actually delving into my evidential mediumship, bringing through past loved ones and helping them connect to their loved ones on this side of the veil. As far as the spirit guides, it's essentially like coaching, like I'm kind of like coaching from that realm and from myself as well, so pretty
Mm.
interesting how it works.
Yeah, and Rachel, were you always like were you always honed to work in this way, or was there a journey from doing something to then moving here? Like, how did that work out for you?
Yeah, so whenever I really connected with you, like I've read some of your posts and a little bit about your story, and I connected with you in the sense that whenever I was really little, I was really drawn to like the mystical arts. Like I loved
Mm.
tarot. Like I was small. I was probably like 5 or 7. And my favorite shows growing up were like Buffy and Charmed, and I wanted to be a witch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I've always been drawn to it. Um, like I guess in another sense of like my journey and how I started getting into this. like, you know, there was some trauma from childhood, and
Mm-hmm.
that's initially what sparked my healing journey,
Yeah.
to heal from that. And that's essentially how I got into this work.
Yeah. Um, for those of, our listeners who know about, the entrepreneurship that healers also bring in, right? By working for themselves, and then also there is, of course, a lot of struggle involved, not just working on our own selves, but then also to be able to manage the business aspect of it, right? So, do you have a system going for yourself, or like just to touch a little bit upon the business aspect of the work? How do you manage? Do you have any lessons that you've learned over the, years that you want to share with people?
Yes. So, whenever I started getting into this work and I started doing it professionally, um, my gifts were wide open. So I really
Mm-hmm.
had to learn how to ground myself. And because
Yeah.
it's hard to share messages if you're not grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I definitely I went through a period where I fell through the more feminine side of the spiritual business, kind of like just letting things come to
Mm,
you, and you know, the manifestation type of work and law of attraction. And I was heavily in on that side of the spectrum rather than like the structural business
mm,
side. And now I feel like I'm at a place where I'm able to incorporate both, like adding structure and systems, things that make me feel supported,
mm.
in a business sense and on this earthly realm, right? So,
Yeah, yeah. And then working with spirits or spirit guides, I mean, there's always a risk of like you said, if you're not grounded to either absorb some negativity or to feel a little imbalance. So do you have any rituals around staying grounded, or boundaries, not just with clients but also working with spirits? And if you want to, like, talk about that.
yes. So, um, it was definitely harder at the beginning because, you know, I was very empathic, but I've definitely learned how to set those energetic boundaries and build up my aura. But I guess things that I do regularly is kind of just keeping my aura and my energy clean.
Mm-hmm.
And I light shield a lot so
Mm-hmm.
that I don't, especially before and after client sessions, just so I'm not taking on the client's
Yeah.
energy and it's staying with me, because that used to drain me whenever I wouldn't do that. Um, but yeah, I it's like you start to learn, you know, what works for you and what doesn't work for
Yeah.
you. And I do like deep clearings every week.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's not as much anymore because I'm feeling more protected now, like almost, so now, you know, I'm not so strict about like
Mm-hmm.
protection, but I still
Right.
sometimes it feels good to have it.
Yeah. How important is faith for you in this whole healing journey, or even as a person?
Ooh, okay. Faith. Um, I mean, that's what keeps you going. I feel like a lot of people on this journey have probably struggled with some type of trauma or depression that pushed them into spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when we're in that darker time,
Yeah.
uh, the darker side of our journey, that's, I mean, it can be really hard, but like that's what we have to hold on to. Um, and like that's, you know, that's like the little light that we can kind of hold on to and stick it through those tougher and darker times. So,
Yeah. Is there a particular modality that really was something that you started with, or that really caught your attention in the very beginning? Like, some people have that favorite modality, and then sometimes they don't even practice it, but that's how they kind of, develop their faith.
Yeah, so Kundalini yoga was a big part of my healing journey. Um, I, I started to see like later on in my adult life, I was seeing patterns of
Mm-hmm.
like mirroring in my relationships and ancestral karma that was passed down. So Kundalini was really pivotal to my healing journey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like just developing that mind body awareness, and not just that, it's so much more than that. Like when your
Yeah.
channels start opening up, you're doing like the breath work and the postures and the asanas, like
Yeah.
you develop that deep awareness, mind body energy frequency, and you just you become aware, so that
Mm.
was really pivotal to my healing journey. And it's probably one of my base practices.
Mm.
So
So when you do channel, Rachel, and you talked about mind body, and generally somatic work. So how do you keep your body in a particular way so that you can channel effortlessly? Is there anything else, like apart from like just that Kundalini yoga, or is there other things that you need to do to, use your body as a vessel? We anyways do that for healing, but then I guess for channeling, is it different or is it the same, just for people to understand what the process is?
so right, as I've been delving into my evidential mediumship, I sit in the power a lot. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
And also, what is
So
evidential mediumship?
So evidential mediumship is connecting with loved ones on the other side,
Right.
and you bring through evidence so that
Mm,
the sitter knows exactly who it is. Like, and it's things that only they will know about them. Like, oh,
mm,
they had a blue car or a blue Chevy, and that evidence is healing for the sitter, knowing that their loved one is okay and still exists on the other side.
yeah.
Um, so to get to that place, you have to really raise your vibration. And I do that by sitting in the power. And it's essentially like expanding your energy out, because you have to get on their vibration to be able
Mm,
to. You can still get information but it's not going to be as strong. So it's essentially like expanding your energy out really, really, really big, and
mm-hmm.
blending with spirit realm. And as you're doing that, you're connecting to your higher self, your true essence. That is the part of you that's non-physical, so
Right.
that it's easier for you to connect to the other side. And I just do it just because it makes me feel better. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then how do you manage to always get like benevolent spirits or messages, and like how does that work? Or is it always that if you're in that zone or in that, like you said, position, you only get in touch with positive spirits or positive energy?
yeah, so definitely at the beginning of my journey, my mediumship journey, I was definitely, that was a block, where we're scared. We want to only connect with the good spirits, right? We don't want any of the bad spirits. Now that it's been some time, I'm less worried about that. I feel like I'm just protected by my
Mm-hmm.
spirit team. And yeah, to be honest, like never in a session, never in a session has anything negative come in, but it's very, very rarely. And overall, like I trust that my team is
Yeah.
protecting me, and your team is very protective of you and your energy. So
Mm. So just to bust a few, myths around negative energy, I don't know, like people say black magic and, all of that. What is your take on that? And does that really exist? And like, if it does, then how do people protect themselves from it? Do you have a take on that?
yeah, I see that you do ritual work too, and I
Mm-hmm.
really I felt like I connected with you on that level. So from what I've seen, people do, I guess, black magic. It's oftentimes for protection, and it's oftentimes they feel like um, they are not getting the justice that they need or deserve. Um, I'm very, I don't really hex, or I'm very, like, I don't want anything coming back to me. And that's how I personally feel about it. But
Mm-hmm.
I just try my best not to judge, what
Yeah, yeah,
other people are doing. I
yeah.
guess it's, coming from a place of fear, but I'm
So
not
the
sure
kind
if
of
that.
work, yeah, but the kind of work that you do, it's about connecting with loved ones. So, is it always true, or in your experience, where you've always seen loved ones in a good space, right? Because sometimes loved ones can also not be in a good space. So, how does that work?
Yeah, for the most part, I do see loved ones in a good space, because when they pass away, they do a what they call a life review, where they take a look at their entire life, and they see how yeah, their actions and their behavior have affected other people around them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had a best friend growing up, and she struggled a lot with addiction, and she wasn't in a really good place. I see that it's been many years since she's passed. And I see, like, right last night, I wanted to check on her. I'm like, Spirit team, how is she doing? And they showed me she's really just working on healing herself. So really, they're just like us. Uh,
Mm,
they are in a higher vibration, but you know, they're working on themselves just like us. Some I've seen, like a grumpy old man who was so mean. Right when he transitioned, he was just he was healed, and he was, so it really just depends. You can't always say
mm,
one or the other. Um,
mm-hmm.
I have seen, like, suicide. Sometimes they don't always come forward as easily, or yeah, because they're still healing and
Right.
working on themselves. But sometimes they're able to get through that quickly and come forward quickly, and like talk to who they want to talk to. So it
Mm,
there's no yeah there's no uh time and how long that takes for them.
mm-hmm.
It really depends. And that's why, like, sometimes people who come to me, they'll really want to talk to a specific person, and sometimes I don't have control over who
Right.
comes through or not. And then I just have to trust whoever comes through is going to share what's in the highest good for what they need right now. And it might not always be the person that they really want to talk to, but whoever
Oh, so
does
it can be
come.
anyone.
I'm sorry.
It can be any loved one who's
Yeah,
passed on. Mm,
yeah. And I try my best to bring through who they really want to talk to. And a lot of the times they do, but
mm,
sometimes just I'm not always in control of that. So
Right, right. And then people who are coming, Rachel, do they really feel or get the breakthrough that they are looking for, or you feel like there is a process in that as well, wherein what you bring in or what's the message or how you interpret it?
so this is when it comes to evidential mediumship, like this is their time, like for spirit to say exactly what they want to say to their loved ones. And that's healing for them,
Yeah.
just getting that healing and that closure, or like, I'm so sorry that I treated you this way or affected your life in this way. That is like, I mean, that's why it's so healing for them. And that's why I do what I do.
Wow. Do you have any, I know we do have a question at the end about, sharing stories, but just generally, before we move to the next segment, any stories around messages that really touched people's hearts, or like any gestures that came through, if you can share?
Yeah. Um, so I had a client who came in, her her father was abusive when he was still living. So there was a lot of trauma in that sense. But, it's very complex when it comes to abuse. It doesn't mean we don't love them. We don't love our abuse. So it's very, there's many layers to that. And
Mm-hmm.
um, she wanted to connect with her father, and he came through. And um, I went ahead and I shared the evidence, just to make sure that was him, and she knew that was him who we were connecting with. And like towards the end, he was like, I mean, I guess that's what I was kind of leading to. He was like, I'm so sorry for what I put you through and how
Mm,
I affected you in this lifetime. He said, thank you for choosing me to be your father. I have chills just talking about it because it was so
yeah.
healing. Um, and like he basically thanked her for everything that she did for him. Like she buried his dogs with him. She made sure, like, everything she did for him despite the trauma and abuse that he caused.
Mm,
I'm like getting teary-eyed already talking about
yeah.
it. So yeah, it was very, very healing for her to hear that, because she needed to hear that. And she never got that apology when she was alive. So yeah,
Yeah.
a big breakthrough. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also like the unsaid words, and then you finally kind of end the trauma cycle. I mean, especially in this case, because then there's a closure. So it's quite
Yes.
yeah, powerful.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Because it's like they can't, whenever they were alive, they didn't really have the capacity. They didn't have the tools to see what how they were affecting those around them. Or and not every spirit is like that. I'm typically speaking about maybe someone you were worried about, or maybe someone you had issues with on the other,
Hmm.
whenever they were alive. But typically they don't have that capacity, so
Okay. Mm. And then you also practice Reiki, right? So is that the distance Reiki, or how does that work? What do you do?
yes. So I do Reiki. I do it in person and online. And I incorporate sharing channeled messages from spirit team while I do Reiki too. So basically I work through the chakras and meridians and the energy field
Mm-hmm.
um, to help. get back into balance, energetically, emotionally, physically, spiritually. It's so healing on all levels. I also do a special Reiki technique. It's called psychic surgery, and you can kind of
Mm-hmm.
go in and take. Do you do Reiki too? You do?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Yes, yes. So you
yeah,
take the energy out and you scoop it out, and it's quite powerful. You
yeah.
really get in there on a deep, powerful, like on a cellular level, and like the
Mm-hmm.
results are very quick with that. I've been
Yeah,
finding.
yeah. I've found psychic surgery to be really like helpful and useful when it comes to like serious issues, where you really need to do some intervention and that too quickly. So I've seen quick results there. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Yes.
Um, yeah, so then people who come to you, Rachel, if they don't really believe in the process, do you see that they still get results? Or how is that? How does that work?
So I rarely have, I, there have, right now, I just set that intention to kind of draw in people who are already open to it. And at the beginning of my journey, I would get skeptics
Right.
and non-believers. I have like, there have been where I found that I changed their minds and it kind of scared them a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but, you know, those who are non-believers, if they come to me for a reading, it's still planting a seed.
Right.
Just because the readings are geared towards healing. So I'm planting a seed, and if they want to take that and stay open to that, that's up to them. But I do believe
Mm.
it helps in a sense, like I'm just planting that seed, and maybe further down the line they'll think back to that reading and think, oh, okay, maybe I need to work on this, or maybe this is what she was saying. So
Just flipping that question, just as a healer, do you feel like you sometimes end up judging anyone, or like you've thought that this person can't be helped to that extent, but then they've just, shifted dramatically and brought about a change?
yeah, so that's something that I think we all, anyone who does
Yeah,
light work, anyone who considers them a light worker has to work on. It was something that I definitely had to work on at the beginning of my journey. Just because we're a safe space and people are coming to us for healing. And so, we can, it would be hard for me to go to a healer that was judgy, or so I really, I had to learn that in the beginning. Now I kind of look at it more in the sense of, is this a good fit for me or not, rather than, and I really strive not to be judgy, and I feel like I've
yeah.
come a long way from that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've also worked a lot, not just judging others in general in life, but also especially in the healing environment, and how it can actually have so many drawbacks to the whole process. So yeah, to constantly work on it. So have you seen people where you probably thought that they would not be able to do the work or the inner work, and they kind of did, and then it was transformational for them? Because I've had clients like that, in the beginning, where I felt like maybe it'll be hard for them, or I kind of, well, I don't give up, but then I don't really expect, and then I just see them like bloom as like these flowers
Mhm.
that they came as. Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes it hits them at a different time. Other times they're not ready. Like I had a
Right,
girl
right.
come to me and she's just, she's just not ready to face the truth of who she is, like face the truth of like what's happening. But I know that she wants to be, and so it might take
Mm-hmm.
her a little time to get there. So
Yeah.
um whenever she's ready for that, I told her I'm available.
Mm. So then, can everybody who comes to you be healed, Rachel?
Yeah, I believe that. I do. And the timeline is different for everybody,
Mm.
so it really just depends. But I do believe that they get, I I don't know about completely healed, but
Mm-hmm.
I do believe people come to me and they leave feeling better, or they have more insight and empowerment for how to move on in their journey.
Yeah.
So
You mentioned, being a safe space for people. So, in your experience, how do you develop, that space for your clients? And then also for people who don't know, what exactly does a safe space mean?
yeah, so okay, I'm like, how do I answer this? So I grew up um where emotions and feelings weren't necessarily valued in my family systems. So that was a part of sparking my healing journey too. And it probably had to be that way just because it makes me more empathetic and compassionate, and it makes me the person who I am now. But I really wanted to have a space for people to come where they wouldn't feel judged by what they were going through, where they would feel loved and nurtured no matter what they were, no matter what decisions they made or whatever they were going through. Like, that's what I mean by a safe space, and being able to provide that for people. So,
Mm. And like, do we also work as healers to give that safe space to our own selves? Because, like you said earlier, if we can't really feel that way within our body, then we really can't serve people, right?
yeah. So, me, I do a lot of, I'm I'm constantly having to work on myself, and I still do a lot of self healing
Mm-hmm.
on myself, so that I can just be that, I guess, beacon or that light for the people that I'm serving. I found there was like a bit of a traumatic situation that happened a few years ago, and I found that, oh my gosh, it's still affecting me right now. I thought I did
Yeah.
all this healing work. I thought I healed I thought that I did the work, but oh my God, I'm finding that. So that's what I'm doing right now, because I
Mm.
saw that it was affecting how I was guiding my clients. And I want to be that light, and I want to
Mm-hmm.
be that beacon for them. So,
For
yeah.
people, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, just yeah, I'm finding like it's probably a part of the job, like
Yeah.
the personal development and like the healing and the mediumship, it kind of goes hand in hand. And I believe that's the same way for coaches and
Yeah.
leaders in
Yeah.
this community too.
Yeah. And for people who probably don't understand, Rachel, how trauma affects their lives, in the sense of, it'll show up in ways where, it'll be triggering, and then you won't really be able to do what you're doing to the best of your ability. I think people either don't understand it or they don't take it seriously. Do you want to expand on that, as to how, like, a trauma, the size really doesn't matter, but if it's there and if we don't work on it in our body, then it can really impact our future?
Yeah. So there's different types of trauma. There's like acute trauma, there's chronic trauma, there's small traumas that maybe it happened from a single event. And then there's also like there's different types.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember exactly, but like there's also chronic trauma, which has happened, a big trauma that happened repeatedly over time. And then we have trauma responses to that,
Mm-hmm.
which I didn't even realize I was having until recently. So there's like, you know, thinking about the nervous system, fight, flight, freeze,
Mm-hmm.
disassociating. So I really, you know, I'm digging into that right now, and I'm seeing
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my God, this is why I've been
Yeah.
feeling weird about this or this person or so.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's not just childhood trauma that people talk about. I think like trauma can be like from a conversation, you know, you probably had yesterday, and it doesn't really uh, depend on the age. But I feel like working on ourselves is so important because we never know what's affecting us at what level, and then you know it shows up in a different way that we don't want to look at, you know, in at
Mm-hmm,
a certain time in our lives.
mm-hmm.
So moving to the next question, how do you tend to reach your goal, not just for yourself as a light worker, but also with clients, by being unattached to the result, or to you know not being, or to of by letting go of you know what the end result is? I mean, as a coach, we kind of tell this to our clients, but like, what is your you know process of working with someone?
Yeah, so I recently started doing coaching, and you know, essentially with coaching, you're trying to get them from one place to an end goal, right? Now, if we're setting that goal in the beginning and
Mm-hmm.
they're not exactly there, you know, what we set in stone before,
Right.
they are still getting so much value and healing from what they did get out of it. So I mean, really it just depends on, just like in
Yeah.
spirit world, like what we were talking about, it depends on your timeline and you know how much you're willing to put into that, but also like the right time for you.
Right.
That you know we're not always in control of. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just generally in the spirit world, Rachel, is there a hierarchy? Because I remember working with spirits earlier, you know, like maybe a few years ago, where I did learn about different councils. So, do you have any information on that you want to share with people who have no clue about the spirit world?
yeah, so we have like, okay, so as far as like hierarchy, there's the elementals. And the elementals you can think of like the fairies or the gnomes or the trolls. And they're
Mm-hmm.
the tree spirits. There's so many, it's a whole other world and a whole other realm. And some people are also like people are attracted to different types. Like you'll find that some people are really into the elementals, and these are the people
Mm-hmm.
who love mushrooms or love being in the forest. So the
Mm-hmm.
elementals are closest to Earth. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as we're going through hierarchy here, they're the closest to Earth, and like they can still judge because they are closer to Earth, but they're not necessarily bad. Some people get freaked out by them. They say that the fairies are tricksters, or, you
Right.
know, as you get higher up, you'll have like the spirit guides who are of a higher vibration. You'll have the angels and the archangels, and they don't judge. They just have pure unconditional love for all. They don't, you know, they're not going to judge us by what we're doing, our human side.
Mm-hmm.
The ascended masters. I think the ascended masters, I'm not, they're probably close to the archangels, I would say, if we're talking about hierarchy here. But you have like
Mm-hmm.
also the divine ETs, the extraterrestrials, for those of you who resonate with star seeds and
Mm-hmm.
Pleiadians, Lemurians, Syrians.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mm. And so the spirits that you know our loved ones, where are they in this process or in this?
So I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure how to answer that. I will say at the beginning of my journey, I didn't fully open myself up to evidential mediumship because I was worried about, you know,
Mm,
are they still the same as from
right,
when they were on this side, or are they healed?
right.
So that really blocked me from now as I am developing my evidential mediumship. Everyone I've connected with is love and light.
Yeah,
Um, it's still a very high vibration. Um, but you also want to treat them like people too, because they are like, they still have quirks and stuff. So,
yeah, yeah. So just generally working with people and offering your gifts to others, Rachel, have you come across people who ask for free stuff, and then in the beginning, when we are doing free readings or offering our services for free, I guess we want to see evidence or we want to help, but then it can very soon become burnout, right? So
mhm.
what has your experience been there, and how have you built healthy boundaries around that?
Yeah, at the beginning, we really need that validation.
Mm-hmm.
So and you need practice. So it really helps. But yes, further down the line, you start getting good at it, and then it starts to become an energetic exchange. And you need that energetic exchange of money so that
Mm-hmm.
you have energy to keep doing it. So yeah, in the beginning I definitely did struggle with that, giving out um free readings, and you just learn what your limits are. And okay, it's time for me to start
Yeah.
charging. Even my friends, like, it's time to start charging, um because it starts taking a toll. Like, you
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely start
Yeah.
getting drained. So
Yeah. Yeah. So was it easy for you to make that transition from friends and family to charging everyone for your services? Or because I'm sure a lot of people out there who start off it, I mean, I've seen, especially in my own business coaching, it is very difficult for people to make that shift. But once they do, then again, it's a practice to kind of maintain that. Yeah.
mhm. um It definitely was challenging in the beginning because you're constantly thinking like, oh my God, like I don't want them to think that I'm just
Yeah.
trying to, or like, this is my friend who loves me. But um for me, I just had to, I really had to like put up that boundary, like, because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just I really saw how much energy was going into it. And I
Mm-hmm.
like, it's really whenever you're at that place where you're like, okay, it's time, like I cannot do this for free anymore. So
Yeah. Yeah. So, wow, we're moving on to the last segment now, Rachel. Just generally, overall as a person, apart from your healing work, what motivates you, and what keeps you going?
I would say my son motivates me, just wanting to be an example for him to do something he loves, and making a living off of it. And like, you don't have to be unhappy. I just want, I'm very much like, you don't have to be unhappy in capitalism, or like working that 9 to 5. Um, and what motivates me is also just, I guess, being the best I can be for my clients and the people who trust me
Yeah.
to serve them or help them in any way. So
Mm.
that's what motivates me and keeps me going.
Hmm. And is there anything else that you pursue apart from your healing work? that really, defines you as a person, or like people know about?
Is there anything that defines me?
Or
Is
like
that,
just generally, apart from the healing aspect, what else, do you do in your life?
oh, what else do I do in my life? Oh, that's hard to answer because right now I'm just, I'm very just building my business. So, yeah, that's tough to answer.
So
Yeah,
that's taken over your, like, this is
yes,
all the
yes,
various aspects are defined.
yes.
Okay.
I
Okay.
had a good work-life balance a few years ago, but right now I feel like I'm just in that zone where I'm like, okay, it's time to build my business. It's time to work on myself and
Mm-hmm.
heal, and that's just where
I
I'm
mean,
at
and that's
right
a
now.
lifelong journey, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I know that I
Yeah.
will get back to that. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then just the last question would be around, motivation and miracles and, stories of hope and, success. So if you would like to share a few stories of your clients, over the years who really transformed or, inspired you or, inspired other people, we would love to know.
okay, let me think about that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Motivating stories. I I mean, I can answer for myself in
Mm-hmm.
connection to like how I help my clients. So I've been through a lot of tough. I signed up for a lot of lessons in this life, and from healing from like narcissistic abuse and like just childhood trauma. It really like followed me to my businesses, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like self. I feel like even business goes hand in hand with the personal development. Um,
Yeah.
like I'm finding that everything that I went through that was traumatic or a challenge for me to get through, I am able to help my clients from these
Mm.
experiences. So, in a motivating sense, to share, like for people who are going through something hard or to give them hope in any way, it's not, I don't want to say that you deserve it but
Mm.
it's not, you signed up for these lessons in this lifetime, and it's not for nothing. Like it's not just, it's not for you to like just go through the suffering. I do believe like you're going through it for a reason.
Mm.
Um, and if you're going through something hard, you're healing a lot of karma from your past lives or from the generations. Um,
Mm.
yeah, so it's not all for nothing.
Yeah. I'm sure somebody wanted to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So, Rachel, any parting thoughts you want to share with everyone?
I don't think so. I think I shared a lot.
Yeah. I think the last nugget was also very powerful. And for people who want to get in touch with you, Rachel, what's the best way to do that?
You can go to my Calendly, which is calendly.com/story spirit aura. You can follow me on Instagram, Story Spirit Aura, or email me,
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Story
I'm
Spirit
gonna
Aura.
put all the information. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rachel, for being on this episode.
Oh, thank you
And
so much.
yeah. And I hope to stay in touch. And for people who want to get in touch with you, I will share all your information.
Thank you so much. It was an honor.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.